Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. Today I'm here with a wrap-up. I feel like it's been so long since I've done a wrap-up. It is getting really dark for absolutely no reason other than it's miserable outside. I'll try and keep this relatively brief and walk through the books that I've read in September and October. Don't be afraid, I've only read 2 things in September, so there's not much to talk about. Hence why there wasn't a wrap-up. So I suppose I'll start from those books. So the first thing that I read in September was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Was it though? Was it? It was not. It was the Prisoner of Azkaban. I don't know what I'm saying. So I am not gonna dwell on this, but I did really enjoy it this time around. I feel like every time I reread the series I find a new favorite. This wasn't my favorite, but I found a new appreciation for Sirius in this one. I enjoyed his character this time around, and I always thought he was a brilliant character. I just have issues with it, as I am supposed to have, I think. As for the next book that I've read in September, it was Rise of Kyoshi. If you don't know, one of my absolute favorite cartoons is Avatar: The Last Airbender. I rewatched it numerous of times and I find it so amazing. It definitely gets better after the first season if you're trying to go through it, because it's now on Netflix, so it's readily available, because it was a little bit hard to get to previously, but I absolutely love the series. I think the character arcs are amazing. I think visually it's so appealing. It has such a wholesome humor throughout it. I just love it. One of my cats is named after a character in there, so you know. So when I heard that they're making a new book series, I was equally excited and afraid, because I was afraid that the series is not gonna come through, but they do come through. I am so happy that I read this. I actually gave it 4 stars and I went through the whole compile thing in one of my vlogs. I will leave that down below if you want to find my very in-depth thoughts about it, but I definitely felt like Kyoshi is one of the previous avatars. When this book started the way that it did start, I was really taken aback because I was not expecting her story to be like that, because I don't think I've known much about her. I don't think I'm as attached to the crew here as I am to the avatars bit, but it's on a core level at the moment, and I am really looking forward to the next one. It was so fun to read and it like played a little bit with my heartstrings, just enough, you know. I really enjoyed it. If you're not a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, or if you don't even know much about it, I do not think you will honestly enjoy this. Just because it doesn't really go through explaining the world, it kind of just throws you in there as if assuming you're coming from Avatar, which I'm assuming majority of people will be. If you are a fan and you're a bit worried that the world, like the very specific Avatar atmosphere, is not gonna come through via like text, I wouldn't worry about it. I think the author did a brilliant job verbally painting the picture, but yeah. 4 stars. There's one bit in particular that was so cinematographic at the end. I really enjoyed that bit. Oh, where is it? Oh damn, I forgot to include this in the thumbnail. But I've also read, this is in October now, I've also read Serpent and Dove. Is a story about a witch and a witch hunter who are binded in holy matrimony, and they have to sort of coexist, and the witch hunter does not necessarily know that he is married to a witch. The female character I absolutely adored. I really enjoyed her sass and criticism and skepticism. She's very sassy. I really enjoyed her lack of naivety that I often find in YA female characters. She was what you would consider the like stereotypical badass kind of female, but she was very flawed and she was not naive, which made it to me that much better. Flying through this book, I was really enjoying it up until actually here, this bit, the last bit, which I still enjoyed, but I had to kind of force myself through it. And I think the main reason is that our main the female character is not as active in this one. It's more from a different perspective, and she is not acting herself for like very important reasons. And that made me realize that I think her sense of humor carried this book a lot for me. That being said, I really enjoyed it. It is very heavy on romance, so if you're not loving kind of hate to love trope, it might be a big miss for you. I can definitely see a lot of people not liking this. I definitely see that. But to me, it was really fun. I did really enjoy it up until, again, the end. There were a couple of things that, like, I feel like logic-wise, this book wouldn't rate that high, because there were a couple of things that were very far-fetched, and some of the plot twists were a bit, interesting choice kind of thing. But the main thing being them getting married, that made, like, zero sense. Like, zero sense to me. So, like, I get it, technically, but I'm just like, it's a bit of a jump, a bit weird, then everyone's just gonna kind of go along with that. Like, yeah, okay. And I will say that their hate to love transformation wasn't as smooth as I would like it to be. It was definitely not, like, too rushed, but, like, I feel the initial spark came a little bit out of nowhere. So those are my, and then obviously the very end of the book I wasn't the biggest fan of, but those were like my quirks with it, and this did still get 4 stars in my compile rating system. This is our bi-monthly club pick, so the live stream is on the 31st of November. If you would like to join us, we would love to have you in that live stream, and you still have a lot of time to read this, and I'm very excited to hear what the other host thought. I think this is gonna be a book that I really enjoyed reading, but it probably will not stay in my head for too long. It's kind of like already fading a little bit, so it's like kind of like a little bit of a fling, but I just really enjoyed her personality, like the female character's personality. I just really liked it. Then I read My Brother's Husband Volume 1. This is a story actually told from a father's perspective. He has a little girl who's like, I think maybe 11 years old or something. They live in Japan. He actually had a twin brother who has recently passed away, and he moved to Canada and lived in Canada and had a male partner in Canada. Unfortunately, he passed away, and now his widowed husband is coming to visit their hometown, because that is something he always wanted to do. And now this, our main character meets the Canadian guy and is coming to terms about the fact that he and his brother kind of lost touch, and also about him being a homosexual, because apparently culturally in his generation it was a very kind of not accepted per se thing, but just, you know, if you kind of ignore it, it'll go away kind of mentality. So it was beautiful to watch this person gain perspective, especially in comparison, like, which I thought was such a genius move of the people who made this, especially in comparison of the girl learning that male and male marriage is even a thing, and male and male relationship is a thing, and completely just absorbing it and accepting it as a fact, like you should, and him reacting to the same kind of information in a very different manner because he has a pre-existing social norms or expectations. And it was so beautiful to watch him learn from her, and just, oh, I loved it so much that I actually I read these on Kindle, so I actually downloaded the second one right after. I just went straight onto Amazon and bought it because I didn't want to wait. It was so heartwarming. I ate this in the same night. And these are not like too short. I absolutely adore the series, and the second one even more. So the first one I gave 4 stars, and the second one I gave 5. If you like the kind of stories like Heartstopper, I like this more than Heartstopper, maybe because it had a bit more like an adult and a cultural difference side of it, so it was a bit more layered for my liking. But I did also really like Heartstopper, and if you like that kind of story, a very high chances you'll enjoy this one, and I highly recommend. I loved it so much. Then the next thing I read is The Little Book of Astrology. I was just curious and I wanted to read it, and there's nothing there to say about it. It does say that it looks at this through more like a psychoanalytical view, as a tool for almost like meditation, like what I do with tarot, rather than predictive manner, which is why I wanted to read it. Next up, I read December Volume 5. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. It didn't like, this is a story, oh my god. Now that I know everything about it, I don't want to even say. In very simplistic terms, this is a story about a world that gets attacked by these massive giant machines, although machinery is already like AI is already in this society. Like they are not entirely out of this state of being used by humans, and these massive machines come over and they're like, hi, how's it going? Pew pew pew, and then kind of disappears. So there's a lot of destruction, but it's not like total annihilation. And people are confused, and then the robots versus humans kind of start, and they're also tracking this little boy, and we get this little boy's story. He was created to be a best friend, a companion to a kid. And there's only 6 volumes, so it's a story that has an ending, which is nice in the comic world. There is another line that's gonna happen after Descender. It's called Ascender, which I'm definitely gonna read. I'm a bit nervous about that one, but I'm definitely gonna go ahead and read it. But I read the number 5 one here, and I suppose I'm just gonna go ahead and show you that I also read the 6th one, which is the last one. It's like a bit of a chunker. And I loved how this ended. I was so afraid of a particular ending, and that ending didn't happen. And I definitely see not everyone being happy with this ending, because it's not in like all roses and sunshine, but that is what I loved about it. The whole series constantly gave me feels, and I really got attached to the characters. I loved, not all, but but the ones that I loved. It was such a satisfying ending for me personally, and there's definitely room for the Ascender series, as they said. I absolutely loved Descender Volume 6. I gave it 6 stars, 5 stars. Cannot wait to continue with Ascender, but it was so satisfying. So satisfying. And I also really like the message of it all, like the moral of the story, if you like. Then the next thing that, and the last thing actually that I finished, is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Again, not much that I need to say here, other than I really enjoyed it. So now you might be wondering, hey G, didn't you have that Wheel of TBR thing, and didn't you have a bit more books than that one? Yes.
Yes, I did.
Thank you for bringing that up. I will speak through a couple of books that I am in the middle of, but as I said in that video, I just don't know how the months are gonna look like in general, and I didn't actually expect myself to read those in October, and I'm not gonna give myself beef about not reading them in October. I will carry that TBR into November, and I prioritize, I mean, I did read some of the books that weren't in the TBR there, but like, I will get to those hopefully in November, and hopefully those remaining books will appear in November's wrap-up. The ones that did go on my TBR and I am making progress in are Kings of the Wild. I am currently 160 pages in this book. Loved the beginning of this. You guys might know that me and Logan and some friends are playing D&D every Saturday, and this is pretty much like a hilarious D&D campaign, and it's all about this gang of mercenaries that are now retired and very out of shape, and they have to regather in order to save someone. And it's just like, it's hilarious, it's sad, it's skeptical. I love the skeptical attitude, like, you know, when you're just like tired of life a little bit and like everything is a bit nonsensical and numb. That's kind of like the vibe of the main characters here, I feel. But I was so loving it for like 80 pages, and then I read that all in one night, and then this I read through the month. I lost the spark for it. I'm hoping to get it back, but I lost the temporary spark, let's hope, because it started like kind of info dumping a little bit. They're going to this like court and a meeting, and there's lots of new kind of like characters that you know are not gonna stick there, and it's just like, it was a bit I wasn't inclined on turning the page, but now they're away from there and they're going for another member, so I was enjoying that bit, but it's just, don't know, it was a bit laborful. I'm still very hopeful for the whole book though, and I think this was probably like a temporary setback. On the other hand though, I've started Lady Mechanica, which was on my TBR as well, and I'm hoping to actually finish that later today. I do not know how this was on my shelf without being read for basically a year. Actually, I do know. It's because it's steampunk, and I just had this in my mind because every time I had like a steampunky thing, I didn't really enjoy it as much. It wasn't my favorite setting. But holy shit, this is amazing so far. I love the main character. She is part human, part a mechanical, and she doesn't know where she comes from, and there's like some sightings of other creatures that are part flesh, part mechanicals, and she is desperate to get to basically know where she comes from, and she's like known there as like almost like a vigilante kind of thing. And, oh, the art style, ooh, I love it, love it, love it. Other than this being kind of like a little bit like, what year is it, like 1870 something, I think, in alternative British land. There's a little bit of you know, the papa and mama and like that kind of stuff that you guys might know legit like really grinds on me. I don't like that at all. I don't know why. I honestly have no reason why. I am really loving this, and I know I'm not too far, I'm like here. But I really am loving it, and I'm so excited to continue, and I have not been so excited about a new comic besides like Descender. And as much as I love Descender, this is the type of art style that I prefer. Oh, so pretty. Although don't get me wrong, the Descender, especially in the 6th volume, had some artwork that was like to die for. Let me just find you. Like this. Oh, are you kidding me? I actually grew to absolutely love the art style in here. But that is everything. As I said, I will try and continue to read through the books that were selected through the Wheel of TBR, including the one that you guys voted on. I'm sorry I didn't get to that one. I'm really trying to get back into manga and comic books because I feel like actually, like novel reading wise, I am going very slowly, and I'm not into audiobooks currently for some reason other than Harry Potter. Like the only audiobooks that I find myself being able to focus on are Harry Potter. I try to swap, I try to actually put a bit of Kings of the Wild on audiobook. I put it on the part where they're getting attacked by this female group, and boy, did those voices not go along with my head, like not at all. Yeah, I'm excited for the things that I still want to read, and hopefully November is not gonna be entirely bad. And let me know if any of these books are the ones that you've read and liked, and talk to me about the books that you've read and really loved through the month and you think that maybe I should check out because you think it's gonna be something I might like. And just before I go, I would really love to thank 2 new members of the G's Army from my Patreon. So first of all, Marlena Lang, thank you so much for joining and for your support, as well as to Ashley B. Thank you, ladies, so much. It means the world to me, and I hope you enjoyed the Patreon space. I hope you guys will have an amazing evening ahead of you, or day, or morning, you know how time works. Thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome, stay kind, and I'll see you next time. Bye!